Well, welcome back, Wings. And today we're reading Inspiration is Overrated, and it is on page 442 and 443 of your textbook. So that's where you're going to be taking your notes today in your textbook. Okay. So as we read, we're going to highlight or underline information that shows the author's feelings toward the following statement: inventing takes 1% inspiration and 99% perspiration. So throughout the lesson so far today, you have watched a video on inventions that kids have come up with, and you were looking at the flaws for that. Then you had your quick write over the statement, and those of you that were in class, you did the four corner debate. Those of you that were not in class or virtual, you were doing that discussion online. So now we're ready to read our mentor text today, which is Inspiration is Overrated. So I'm going to model this on the digital textbook, but you again are to use your textbook, your hard copy of the textbook. So let's go ahead and I'll flip over here. So remember, we are thinking about inventing takes 1% inspiration and 99% perspiration. And remember, perspiration is that sweat equity in it, that hard work that gets that inspiring idea off the ground. So here is our text. All right, I went ahead and I hid the title here, Inspiration is Overrated, just to make it easier. So let's start off here. Here's something that isn't on everyone's shopping list: a coffee mug that irons clothes. It's just one of the multitude of inventions that most of us have never heard of. Each of those forgotten contraptions was probably someone's bright idea, a flash of inspiration experienced while walking in the woods, an idea guaranteed to change the world. So what went wrong? All right, so in that very first paragraph, I don't really see anything that supports, again, going back here to our question, inventing takes 1% inspiration and 99% perspiration. So right now, it's just the introduction. Nothing really tells me the author's feeling towards that statement just yet. So I'm going to keep reading. Some inventions are so much a part of everyday life, we forget they started off as someone's bright idea. Others are long forgotten or remembered only as being colossal duds. For every invention that actually makes it to production, there are thousands that don't. The line between the bizarre and the ingenious is often very thin. History is filled with examples of new inventions that supporters thought would be transformational, but turned out to be just minor fads. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and annotate this one where it says history is filled with examples of new inventions that supporters thought would be transformational, but turned out to be just minor fads. So I'm going to go ahead and highlight this one. I'm going to highlight that in yellow. And remember, you're going to be doing this in yours, so you can either underline or highlight whatever you have at home. And the text that I'm going to be typing in the annotation is going to be something that you're going to write in the margins in your textbook. Okay. So how does this quote here, history is filled with examples of new inventions that supporters thought would be transformational, but turned out to be just minor fads. So how is that text showing me the author's feeling towards that statement? Inventing takes 1% inspiration and 99% perspiration. So the author feels that it takes effort, or quite a bit of effort, to make their product make it on the market. Okay. So history is filled with examples of new inventions that supporters thought would be transformational, but turned out to be just minor fads. So he shows this by saying that many inventions are just minor fads and don't really help the public. Okay, so he's thinking the author feels that it takes a lot of effort to make those work, the good ones work. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and save that, and we're going to close that. And now I've got my annotation there. Remember, you in your textbook are going to write that annotation note off to the side. All right, continuing on to paragraph 3. Experts say that the odds are stacked astronomically against inventors and that no amount of marketing can turn a situation around. The number of failed inventions reinforces how hard it is for inventors to make the leap from idea to marketable product. All right, so right here, this one I'm going to underline just to show that we can do that as well. So the number of failed inventions reinforces how hard it is for inventors to make the leap from idea to marketable product. So again, here, the author feels that it is really hard to get an invention off the ground. He says the number of failed inventions proves that. Okay, it takes hard work to make the product stay or have staying power. We'll say that. All right, so again, I'm going to save that, and that is something that you can write on, or that annotation down here is what I would write in the side of my book there. So let's look at paragraph 5. Let's look at some figures. According to the U.S. Patent and Trademark Office, there are about 1.5 million products that have patents. Perhaps 3,000 of those make money. A noted business magazine states that only 1 in 5,000 inventions succeeds in the marketplace. This estimate is 10 times lower than the one from the Trademark Office. All right, so right here we've got some numbers and stats. Okay, so that one we'll underline, but I'm going to leave you to annotate that. Okay, so when I look at your books and you show me your books later, then I should see that annotation. So this right here, perhaps 3,000 of these make it money. A noted business magazine states that only 1 in 5,000 inventions succeed in the marketplace. So how does that support our author's feeling that it takes a lot of perspiration or a lot of hard work to make that invention succeed? Okay. All right. Paragraph 6. What explains the high rate of failure? Is there something that inventors fail to see? The answer is yes. They fail to see how much work is involved in getting a product off the ground. Someone once said that genius is 1% inspiration and 99% perspiration. That is true for inventions too. Hard work is more important than a good idea. All right, so if there's something in that paragraph 6 that reinforces the idea that our author believes that it takes hard work, then I want you to go ahead right now and circle or not circle, but underline or highlight and then annotate why that proves the author's point. Okay, paragraph 7. Developing something new that actually works and that people want can take years. After an inventor has a brilliant idea, the hard part begins. A working model must be developed and tested. If the results are poor or inconsistent, the project may have to be rethought or even scrapped. A good idea is necessary, but what comes after it is more important. Again, if there was something in paragraph 7 that you feel supports the idea or it supports the author's position, then go ahead and you can pause the video here, do some underlining or highlighting, and then annotating how it supports. Paragraph 8, when a working model is finally developed, the inventor must conduct what is called a search for prior art. That means checking to make sure that there isn't a similar or even identical invention around. Sometimes it seems if all the good ideas have been taken, that means more work. Again, if there's something here that proves inventing takes hard work, takes that perspiration. Paragraph 9, when everything is ready to go, the inventor has to apply for a patent, a legal right to ownership of the invention. It's like a contract that every single word has legal consequences. Many inventors hire patent lawyers to make sure their interests are protected. That means more work. It is a common mistake to think you can sell an idea. You can't. You can only sell an invention. Turning an idea into a viable invention takes work, time consuming, tedious, and sometimes frustrating work. All right, 9 and 10, if there was anything that you could use, go ahead and pause. Rounding out the last paragraph now. If invention is 1% inspiration and 99% perspiration, I'm putting my money on the 99%. All right, so you have my example annotations here. You can come back and watch this video anytime you want. And remember, as you read, you're either going to highlight or underline information that shows the author's feelings towards the following statement. Inventing takes 1% inspiration and 99% perspiration. Don't forget, we're doing this in the physical textbook. Um, if you have forgotten your textbook at home, there will be an assignment in Savas ready for you. But if you have your textbook, you really need to be writing in your textbook instead of doing this online. All right, so that's your example.